Now I know what you're thinking. How does a length of rope save a woodworking project? Because they're nothing alike. So let's get straight into the build and I'll talk you through it as we go. So for this project, I'm going to be building a picture frame. The first design element was planned, however the second one is due to a mistake that I've made. So now that I'm at the width that I want, I'm very conscious that I've got just a square all round board. So what I'm going to do, I turn my table saw on a slight angle and I'm going to try bring a little gradient. So hopefully you can see what that's done now. Just give us this lovely gradient along this edge, stopping it being so bulky. Now that we've got our profile sorted out, we've got it first sanding. It's time to start marking out. This photo frame is going to be 6 inches by 4 inches, standard size of a photograph in the UK. But I'm going to make it just a fraction under, so the photograph, when it's sat in place, you don't see the edges. Then I'm going to look at mitering the corners, put that together, and that should come back and give us a fantastic looking frame. So this is where I want to talk to you about design. Sometimes less is more. Think of it this way, go to your local pub for a lunch and what do? They put more on to try add value. You go to a really posh restaurant, what do? Charge double the money, half the stuff. But the small things that they do exceedingly well. This project's just like that. I could fill this full of all sorts of design ideas, but a little bit less could be a little bit more. And this is where that tapered edge comes in. And because it's tapered inwards, it's going to draw your eye in towards the picture. So next up is gluing, and here's where my troubles began yet again. Putting the glue on's easy. I figured a bit of tape should hold it square, but trying to get any sort of clamping pressure on this was nigh on impossible. I've gone in already and just sprinkled some walnut dust from the table saw on the joints. They were pretty good, but not perfect. So we're just out of clamps. And for my first ever mitered picture frame, that doesn't look too bad. There's a bit of sanding to be done, and somehow I've managed to get a red mark on it from the clamps. Should come off easy enough. And on we went with a bit of clean up sanding. We worked through the grits to 180, popped with some water, and hit it one more time. So moving on now, and what we need is something to hold the photo in at the back. I have some 2mm ply that I use on my laser. I'm going to use the bandsaw. I'm going to make 2 L brackets, a piece to go over the top of the L brackets that will cover the full length of the back so the picture doesn't fall out. So we've got our L brackets in place. I've got my 2 offcuts that I want to put on here. I'm just going to dab a little bit of CA glue on them, drop them on, and then these aren't attached yet, so we'll take it all off as one, paint it, and then stick it back on. The back is now on. Overall, I'm quite happy. I am slightly disappointed though. I've just managed to mark it down here, which brings us to design feature number 2. That's quite simply the feature that takes your eye away from anything that's not 100% right. And that's where the rope comes in. This is going to come down here and have a couple of hearts hanging off of it that are conveniently placed. I use a laser to mark out 2 heart shapes. Cut those out again. I would have used a laser to do this, but the material was just too thick, so bandsaw was a better option. Had a quick bit of sanding, finishing off with a pilot hole before adding the string to attach it to the rope. There you go, complete with a couple of love hearts. Time for some finish, and then just put a stand on the back and we're all done. Now this is my go-to finish whenever I'm making someone a present. It goes on great, smells great, feels great afterwards. I can't speak highly enough about this stuff, and it's so easy to use. And for the stand, I had a quick look in my scraps bin, found a triangular shaped piece, chopped it down to size, and it was all good to go. Now I'm starting to get into a habit where I like to finish a project with some hand tool work. Something about it that just makes it feel like the end of the project. This, as much as anything, makes me feel like a craftsman, although that's probably not actually the case, is it? Once I got the stand shaped down, a small bit of light sanding on it, I simply stuck it on with some glue. And that brings us to the end of the video. I've had a blast on this one. I think it's turned out great. I love those 2 design features, one drawing your eye in, one adding a bit of contrast whilst hiding a mistake that I've made. I'd be really interested to know, what do you guys think of this project? More importantly, what would you have done different? What design elements would you have used? How do you guys avoid those glue up disasters that I seem to be having every week? Well, thanks for watching. If you've got something out of this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. If you can't wait for the next video, there's one right down here which will take you through one of my other builds.